Hey there, all my fellow Schmiga nerds. Welcome back to Broadway by Ghostlight. I'm Mark Bonanni, and I had the immense honor and privilege to sit down with one of the most knowledgeable, talented, and generous people in show business, Schmigadoon choreographer Chris Gattelli. Mr. Gattelli's choreography for season 1 and season 2 is extraordinary, bursting with style, wit, and deep musical theater cuts. One of the best in the business, he won the 2012 Tony Award for Best Choreography for Newsies and has been nominated another 4 times for 3 different glorious Lincoln Center revivals and SpongeBob SquarePants the Musical. He also choreographed shows like The Cher Show, Warpaint, Bat Boy, the original Tick Tick Boom, and so many more. He was kind enough to be here today and discuss episode 1 of Schmigadoon season 2, and episode 2 is filmed as well and will be out hopefully within the next few days to a week. He dropped so many mind-blowing Easter eggs and references in his choreography to not only iconic musical theater choreography, Fosse, Bennett, those kind of things, but also some deep season 1 Schmigadoon references. Plus, he has given me some incredible, exclusive, never-before-seen footage and pictures of some cut moments from this episode, as well as some of the early pre-production stuff from season 2. I am just so over the moon to share it with you guys. It's so amazing. I am so grateful to him. I'm dying to get to it and share it all with you guys, but just a really quick word about this video. Real talk, I filmed this over Zoom, and the quality is not as great as I would like it to be for you guys. So just know that for episode 3 and for the rest of the season, I will make sure the quality is improved. Luckily, most of the issues was on my end with my internet, and so in the beginning, me, Future Mark, is gonna pop in and just sort of let you know what I asked Chris, and then cut back to his response. The lag is fixed after a little while, so it won't be too often, just in the beginning. I just wanted to make you all aware. Also, be sure to stick around to the end to find out how you can help get Chris to do a Schmigadoon Season 1 episode by episode breakdown with me. I know I can get him to do it, but with your help. Enough talk though, let's get into the dance goodies. Chris Gattelli, holy moly, thank you so much for being here on Broadway by Ghostlight today.
Oh my God, thank you, Mark. It's a complete pleasure and honor to kind of just sit and chat with you and the fans, and this means a lot on many levels, so thank you.
Well, I know when I announced in my first breakdown that we were working on having a dance bonus breakdown, people were really excited in the comments and on Twitter. So people are really looking forward to hearing all the dance secrets.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, there's some fun Easter eggs in there for sure. Some you already found. So, but it's nice to like go, yep, that was the intent, and and so that was it'll be fun to chit chat about it all.
So before we get into the specific numbers, with this season 2, you seem to be a musical theater dance encyclopedia from your work on the show. Do you feel that that's an apt description?
I think so. Yes. I mean, I love what I do so much, and I grew up loving it. And I mean, that's why when Cinco originally, like he actually Instagrammed me the first time. He was like, "Is this Chris Gattelli that did Dames in Hail Caesar?" And I was like, "It is." And and he was like, "Okay, hold on, what's your email?" And then we started corresponding, and then when he told me about the show, I was like, I don't know if I could have a better job ever. I mean, this is like it's literally everything I love, and to get, I mean, in this, I didn't even know that there would be more seasons. Just the fact that Schmigadoon happened, and to honor Agnes and Ona White and Robert Alton and all of my heroes that, like, from that period, I was like, well, this is a dream come true. This what could and then it was like, oh, we're doing another season, and it's Fosse and Bennett, and it's like more of my heroes. And so it's just an honor to just I think of it as not, I mean, and that's why I think Cinco would say the same, but I think it's not like poking fun. It's just it's truly like an homage. Like I think this is so done out of the love we have for like these artists and our form and the musical form, that I think it's so much love. And that's why I think like just the attention to detail that every single person on the team is paying attention to is I think it's just over and beyond, because we all love it so much. So it's nice to just see it all finally put together. So
And I feel like the love really comes across from across the screen. I mean, you can feel the love of the cast, you can feel the love of creatives, you can feel the positivity just beaming out of that screen with every moment of this show.
yeah, and like you said, and even the cast, like they have a whole text chain together. Like they have this like
Just the
Schmigadoon, like
Schmigadoons.
they were so close. And I think it happened too because, you know, we filmed it during the pandemic, the first season, like up in Vancouver, where it was so, it was in the, you know, the really strict period of time. So it was like, so we really came together even more so than you normally would on a show. Like you get close, but we really all like really connected. And so that just made it even more special. So on all those levels.
There's a great video you did with Playbill several months ago where you not only showed off the choreography to Corn Puddin', one of the great benchmarks in musical theater history, Corn Puddin', forever and always, but you also talked about the special day when you really got to see your cast for the first time because everyone had masks. So
Yeah,
that was a really fun story. I'll put a link to that video in the description if anyone wants to check that out. But I really loved you
yeah.
talking about that.
And it was a special day because, you know, as a dancer singer, it's like, you know, if you're only seeing this much of your face, like you're missing all of like smiling or whatever, just, you know, that's, you're only seeing half of the expression and the emotion and joy or whatever the number is. So to finally get them on set and see them in full costume, it just, I will never forget that day. It was just so, it was great. And you could tell they, you know, just even with each other, it was just like another bonding moment.
So I first asked Chris about when Cinco Paul first told him the ideas and direction for season 2 and the shows featured, and if he was excited or a little nervous diving into the worlds of Bob Fosse and Michael Bennett.
Well, I was really excited because he sent me all of the scripts, so I was able to see um what we were kind of going for. So again, like it was Fosse and Bennett and mostly Fosse, of course, because of the specific references. And I was super excited for a few reasons. One, I mean, the last show I performed in was Fosse on Broadway. So I did half of these numbers in the show. So it was like, it was really fresh and still in my body somehow. And so that was just really, it was such a cool connector. But also like for the, how can I explain this? The cinematic quality of the shots were different, you know, because in Schmigadoon, we tried for like longer, wider takes. Like Kristen's was one whole number. Like that's how they shot back then in the golden age. Now, you know, Fosse was the one who really kind of, you know, if you think of like Sweet Charity and like, it's a lot of like zoom, like quick zoom ins and like long pans and that like quick edits here and there. Who's that? Like he really started playing with dance and how the camera could use it to its advantage. And so I was excited because I was hoping to get a lot of that in this season, a lot of like camera work that also kind of paid homage to those films in that period as well. So that was I was really excited about that. And there's a few specifically that again, I don't know if necessarily in these first 2 episodes, but definitely down the line, there's definitely some like camera work Fosse nods for sure.
I mentioned to Chris that some of the cast told me about the night they filmed this opening Welcome to Schmicago number and how it was filmed outside on a very cold night at about 3 a.m.
I mean, this cast, like a lot returned from last season. I just give them so much props because they were just troopers through the whole process, again because of like the COVID of it and and then we were actually on location this time in certain, like we were on outside, sets and things like that. So they were shooting till 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. Sometimes it was, in the misty rain, and so they really worked their butts off to make sure that we had everything we wanted, and they were just great about it. I mean, they were also happy to be doing it, and again, it was like family, so we were all kind of rooting for each other, and it was good.
I then asked about how, with many of the season 2 songs, they are very specific homages to different songs. Welcome to Schmicago, Magic to Do, Kaput, Mein Hair, etc. So, how much did you want to lean into the specific choreography for those numbers versus making it your own?
I'd say it was about like 50-50, because because it is so specific. I mean, and even in the script, it was like, I laughed out loud when I read it in the script, but it was, like, the fog clears and there are 20 pairs of jazz hands. And I was like, oh no. I was I was like, okay, here we go. we're starting, we're really going right in. I mean, I laughed when I read it on the page. And so to that, you have to honor that. And so a lot of it is definitely like Fosse inspired, and a lot of the shapes. But again, I kind of took my lead from Farrago, which I know that you explained to everyone. So it's kind of a mishmash jumble of things. So basically, yes. I kind of did Magic to Do, but with like other elements of like Chicago, and like the revival of Chicago, and moves that were like in the soup of of Fosse and this vernacular and whatnot. And so we kind of mishmashed it a bit. And then we kept going. And then there was a point, this is Cecily, if she sees this, she'll laugh out loud. There was a point, because I was going to try to poke magic. I was going to poke fun at the magic trick that's in the middle of the dance break in Pippin, where there's, I think sitting on a pillow. And so I was trying to think of a magic trick that would be funny. At one point, I was like, oh, well, what if the leading, our narrator, what if like Cecily's in a box and he's like sawing her in half, and like something ridiculous happens. And that was like a very short-lived idea. But because Cinco, I mean, like we laughed at it, but Cinco was like, no. He's like, I really want you to let them dance. He's like, I want the audience to know that like it's not Schmigadoon, and this is sexy. And I was like, great. So the box went away, and then and we have this amazing ensemble cast, and so we just played to all of their strengths. And there are little Easter eggs in there, like, for example, it's like the second count, boom, pop, Erica Hunter with the leg going up. That's actually it's a moment from part 3 of the Frug. It starts in kind of a freeze, and the girl is, her leg is extended in the air, and then she comes down, and then they go into the third section of the Frug. So it was it's like a quick blast of an homage to just like hitting these. I was trying to hit different sections of the Fosse vocabulary. But even We've Got Song, We've Got Dance, we did a little song. And even the We've Got Dance, if you notice, Erica does the chorus line pose on dance. So even little gestures like that, I was trying to thread through the opening of trying to go, okay, yes, it's Fosse, but there's also other forms in here. And then, yeah, and the dancing has definitely taken a sexier, sharper shift. So, yeah.
Amazing. And another one I noticed was the on Farrago, you do the father dip.
Yep.
Blow the blues, it looks like move.
Oh yeah,
we get this move at some point. Yep. Yeah,
and then we do the shoulders. We try to get as much of a mishmash as we could, but I mean, it was a fun one for sure to figure out. There's something that didn't make it in. If you want me to send it, I can. But there's something that didn't make it in where we actually, the 20 pairs of jazz hands actually came together and made the word jazz around the narrator and bust it out. I mean, I am.
That's fun.
It was fun. It was fun trying to work that out with them too. But again, the cast was so generous and their time and their talent. So it was fun.
I then asked about the back and forth from dialogue to dancing, and the cutaways to other cast members' reactions and things like that, and how that balance works. Asking specifically about two of my favorite moments: Josh getting into the groove, and the narrator's hysterical swipe at Melissa.
Mystery and magic, endings that are tragic.
That one I did do that. The line where Keegan's kind of getting into it, like that's in the script, but I was like, when I knew that it was going to be Titus, when I found out that he was cast as the narrator, and I saw the lyric endings that are tragic, I was like, oh, I have to give this to him. And literally, I mean, he knew, he didn't even need to be told. He was like, I got it. So yeah, but a lot of that back and forth even was it was all done in previs, which we can talk about too at some point. Like, because I got in a room with a bunch of dancers here in New York, and we pre-taped all of the numbers, and did like the different shots, and we set up the shots, and like, here's what I'm thinking kind of thing, just to give the director a sense of and the DP a sense of like at least what I'm kind of hoping to go for in terms of like what we can focus on, and like little accents with like a foot flex, or maybe you want to see, you know, the shoulder specific, whatever. But we had a whole crew here in New York that like we got together in a room for like about a week and a half and like put those all together. And then as we would finish the number, we would send the previs out. So a lot of the back and forth that you're seeing was done specifically because, you know, time is tight. And I just wanted to make sure like, okay, we're getting these shots, you know, like, and we can move on. Like, we only need it for this long, then we can move on. We don't have to do the dance break nonstop, or we don't have to do this whole section nonstop. So it would save time in terms of like, you know, just getting the material out and captured and, you know, be efficient with time.
The red scarf, was that you?
You got it. I mean, and so and that's where I did keep a little bit of like, I tried to set up the red scarf with the colorful scarf, because which really isn't that impressive of a magic trick, because I was like, let's do something that's maybe not so impressive, but that at least can like, it's colorful and it's, you know, it's a simple trick. And then, but because I did definitely want it for and you got it, but like for those who would think back to like Elsie with the red scarf that was from Chicago, I definitely wanted to, like, for people who would get that, I kind of wanted to throw that in there as a little bit of foreshadowing. So that was really fun.
Do we shock you, make you ill at ease?
Let's get to the second big song, Do We Shock You? We're in Sweet Charity, Taxi Dancer land. And I mean, what perfection. I mean, you nailed it, as of course you would.
Thanks.
So like the red ballet bar, was that something that was written into the script and they knew what they were doing, or did you have to request it?
That was, again, it was very specific in terms of like, they're at the bar. So the first episode, it was I loved it in the way that things were very clear. Like, it was very like, this is basically magic to do. We have white gloves, you know, this is big spender, essentially. We have the bar. This is mine hair. We have the chairs. Again, not literally, but it was very much like, it was more like you mentioned earlier, like very more specific homages. So which was great, because then I know exactly where to kind of hone my focus. So that was part of it. Yeah.
favorite Fosse moves that you threw in there is this little like jump. I can't even do it, but which they do in Something Better Than This. Where they
You
and
got
then
it.
yeah, they do it a little bit in Crunchy Granola Sweet too, in dancing, but they do that.
Yeah,
That
they
just
do.
that is my favorite
It's a
moment.
crescent, kind of a crescent jump.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a bit of a crescent.
And then what's this moment where they're hitting their stomachs after that?
I'll tell you, there was a whole if you because well, I'm breaking it down because I really wanted to honor like all of the strong female characters in this dance break, and especially it was when we shot it, when we were coming up with everything, it was right around when Anne passed. And so I wanted to throw a bunch of Anne Ranking homages in it too. So there's almost the very top of the dance break. I mean, I wanted to start with a big kick because we're working hard. But like after the kick, this next and the shimmy is from Changes Made from All That Jazz. You gotta stop, boom, boom. You better. So that even like those 4 counts are from that. The crescent and the point is from Charity. The hands pat pat is from Blackbird from Liza with a Z. So it was, and then they do the pirouettes, which I
was gonna ask you, whose idea was this million pirouette turn?
I just had to, because with, when they're saying we're working,
Cause we're really putting a lot of effort into it.
this is something that you could never do on stage. But it's almost like a fast forward homage. But like, I just remember when I was young watching Flashdance, and at the very end, when Alex auditions to get into the art school, the dancer like does these pirouettes, and she does like, I don't even know how many there are. And it's like, and as when I was young, I was like, wow, she's amazing. And she absolutely was amazing. But I didn't realize that was not possible.
Right.
So I was like, oh, wait a minute. Got it. So I kind of wanted to do a slight homage to that, but I just wanted the girls to be like just twirling, and then even when they land and when they hit their hips after they land and do that bump, like that's from Changes Made too, from All That Jazz for Annie. So there were, I wanted to put a lot of like the strong female, like very specific references into like this like all ensemble, like female centric number. So that's literally like almost 4 counts by 4 counts. Like they're all in there. I try to squeeze them in as much as, and actually there was one that got cut. It was a sing quote, but that didn't make it, but for a good reason.
What do you think about? Does that shock you?
Genius. I love the way you create these. It's like, those old magnets you'd have in your fridge with all the letters, and you would make sentences. I feel like you're doing that with history of musical theater dance, and it's just so delicious.
Oh, thanks.
And
we
then,
added.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and we actually, and I was happy they went for it, because we actually added, because it was our 6 ensemble women for this. It was always the 6, and then of course, they were named after the Annie orphans. But then they were when we were in pre-production, I added the 7th, the kind of older woman on the side with the cigarette who has been there a long time. And if you want to interpret, after she says, I experienced a female orgasm, and if you want to interpret that it may have been from that woman, it's up to interpretation.
I've experienced an orgasm. A female one.
But
Huh.
it's there that she was definitely what's the word? She inspired many ideas in that number. So
She's
just
so funny. Her little cigarette tap tap was
tap
so
tap.
well, and I'm breaking it down. I'm like, wait a minute, there's not enough women for these names. And then I thought, well, one of them's got to be this old woman next to the stage, which is even better. So that was so great.
It was
And then
fun.
we get to Kaput.
We've gone kaput. Now we're kaput. Your rear's sublime, but now it's time. You got a visit from my foot.
Dove Cameron, holy moly, was she? I mean, she was so ready for this. Did you give her a bunch of homework? How, or she just felt it in her body?
She she is one of the hardest working, most kindest, patient, lovely people. She because it was in the script. I mean, we knew it literally said in the script, like, she does amazing things with a chair. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, and knowing that, and she's very sweet and humble. I mean, because she says, like, I'm not really a dancer. She can absolutely dance. But it's just, when I'm putting these together, it's like, I know that we only have like a limited amount of rehearsal time. I mean, sure, if you have a 4-week rehearsal process for 5, whatever, for a Broadway show or something, like, sure, you can like give something for someone to work on, or at least give them a heads up. But, this is like fast. So it was trying to figure out things we could do with her that made her feel confident. But she literally was like, but don't hold back. She's like, I have time. She's like, I'll get it. She's like, if you want it, I'll do it. And she worked so hard for that number. I mean, and I think she was saying in an interview, like, it's a bentwood chair. It's not like the most stable thing on earth. And she's up there on one foot doing her, and with full, like, just, she was going for it. And she's the kind of performer. She's like, again, nope, I need to do it again. I need to do it again. Like, I just need to get in my body. And she knows what she needs. And I think she knew that if she like worked hard, that it would like pay off for her. And I feel like it did more than that. Like, I feel like she overachieved in a way. Like, and the split thing is absolutely real. Because in the previs that we did, like, I put a split. I put that in there. I put like someone was on a split between 2 chairs, just because now at that point the number was like, we kept adding more chairs, and I wanted it to start.
Yeah, I mean,
wanted to
there's
play
like
up the
15
whole
chairs.
yeah, the also Grand Hotel-y, but like, like there were all these bentwood chairs, and so she saw it because we showed her what it was, and she was like, oh, I'm gonna get it. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, oh, I'm gonna do that split. And I was like, oh, you don't have to. I was like, and she's like, oh no, she's like, now she's like, I've seen it, I want to do it. And she didn't really she's flexible, but she didn't have like a split. And literally over the period we were like shooting and filming, like, she was stretching and then she got a split. Like, that is not an easy thing for someone to just say, like, oh, I'm going to stretch myself and like be in a split. Like, I don't know how she did it. I still don't know how she did it. And then I was so happy that, like, even it was in the trailer, and I was like, oh my God, it was like, I was so proud of her. She really worked. And all the women worked hard. I mean, that was something too that changed on in process, where originally I just had it starting with just Dove and not the other women on stage. And then there was something when we were setting it that it felt, because I didn't want to do exactly mine hair, but then it did feel a little spare, and it was nice and in that Fosse style to kind of have her framed at least by the other women, so that you could focus in on her, and it didn't feel so kind of vast. So it was and so like they learned that really quick, and like the women were all over that number too. They were so great. They're so incredible.
My dear, I fear that we're kaput. Once I took a lover up in Munich who made my prior beau look like a eunuch. Soon we were making romance round the clock. But soon, alas, I tired of his cock made me talk.
One of my favorite moves that the girls did is the clock legs. That was so great. Is that a reference to anything particular or just a sweet move?
It's just it's more, it was more I kind of wanted to just play up the lyric, you know, and figure out like what looks Fosse like that is like tick tick tick, because there's something in mine hair.
Not only up and down, but side to side, mine hair.
Yeah.
So there's the thumb, yeah. So it was very, I thought, oh, that's so clever. How can we do that to a lyric? And so that was kind of like the clock kind of homage to playing up the lyric on that, which they looked great.
It's so great. One of my favorite numbers. Yeah, and then all the chairs everywhere. I mean, that was so fun. And the quick flash, how they got into these positions, we'll never know, but it doesn't matter because it's just so good.
And the chair spinning was a hoot. Because we had to work that out.
Was that your idea, and they just had to like come up with a way to make that happen?
Yeah, I mean, and that's why, again, set deck and the set design. I mean, they just for that moment put a plug in the stage that, like, you know, we figured out like the axis that it would rotate around, and she did start to turn it, and it went, and then she could let go, and it would just go. I mean, again, it was like what is just at this point ridiculous. So it was fun to come up with ideas. And
my dear, I fear it's clear that we're kaput.
We've gone kaput.
Now we're kaput.
Now we're kaput.
Once our desire burned like a fire, but now there's nothing left but soot. We had a fine affair, but please get out of my hair. My dear, I fear that we're kaput.
Kaput. Kaput. Kaput. Kaput.
and then the kind of we didn't do, and to be honest, and what I really love, and that's why the collaboration of all of these minds, and like Alice and Cinco and everyone, like that march at the very end was something that we never could do because we never had the bodies to actually do it in real time, because it had to be cuts. So it was something that, like, no, like let's go for it because it's worth it, because it does feel kind of marchy in that way that you want it to be. And yeah, it's just kind of happened, and then she like drops out of the frame, which is fun. And then then the final pose, like I have a shot Erica like doing the final pose, and I'm like behind the stack of like folding chairs and in the studio, like holding her up, make sure she's like, because I said like I'd love her on a stack I'd love her to end like in a pile of these chairs at the end. And they were kind of like, well, what do you mean? So because we could, it was hard to like actually do without making it struck. So we did cobble something together in the studio, and I was like hiding behind chairs holding Erica's hand like while she was like demonstrating it. And it was so much, that number was so much fun to do. It was so much fun.
That's amazing. So, and so many of the dancers, like we said before, are returning from Schmigadoon. Did you have a hand in getting them back, or was that they were just invited back because Cinco wanted to get as many people back as possible?
It was a mix of different things. It was I mean, we definitely wanted as many as we could, because we wanted, even in the outset, like, oh, this is a little Easter egg that I don't know if anyone picked up on, but because when they get to Schmicago, like my hope was that we could surround the narrator with, that's why I have like Erica's off his right and Daniel's off his left, just because they're familiar faces and they were partnered up in the first season. So I was hoping that like, ooh, like, wait, are we in? So I was hoping to start, playing with that confusion with them, since they were a couple in the first season and recognizable. And but there's another Easter egg that I start with the Schmigadoon move. I start with the Schmig, boom, Dune, but it's welcome to Schmicago, pop,
Oh,
pop. And so they still do the like the lifting of the arms and the head pop from the first season, but just instead of the yeehaw, they just do the Fosse hands and then the head. So even down to that, I was like, I wanted Josh and Melissa to be like, well, but it's the same, it's kind of the same intro. So even that was kind of fun to like start the ball rolling from, in terms of like
oh,
unraveling.
that's so good. You put so much thought into it. That's another thing that shines through in the series is everyone cares not only about each other but cares about the end product because
Oh,
so much is put into it. It's really incredible.
yeah. And that's why when you get scripts and songs like that, and then you start to see the design, it's like you have to do your best, because again, like these special projects, they're so special, and especially for what I get to do. Like, so many, a lot of shows don't, TV series don't have choreography or musical numbers per se. So when one does come along and it's this specific to what I love, and so it's like I feel like I'm representing all of us in a way. Like it's like, what would I want to see? Like so I feel like, especially the first season, I felt that because so many people were like not working, and like with COVID, and it felt like we were like, it was like we knew how lucky we were to be working and have this opportunity. So I feel like everyone just like really really dug in. And so, but that kind of work ethic then came through, just because it's, along for season 2. So I'm like, it's just a kind of love fest with everyone there, because you just look around and it's like everyone's working like just so hard, and with so much passion and love for it. So it's easy to get swept up in that.
Well, and that love shines through, and that's when you hook super fans like me. And there's a lot of super fans like me out there who so appreciate your eye and the detail that you and all the dancers and the entire Schmigadoon team put into it. So, on behalf of all of us Schmiga nerds, thank you so
Oh,
much.
well, it's sent back, because we appreciate the love. I mean, because it's nice. It's just nice to know that it's like that work is touching people, and it's making people laugh and cry, and so that's the goal. So thank you.
Well, I think we're going to stop here for episode 1. We're going to head with episode 2 very soon. But Chris Gattelli, thank you so much for breaking down episode 1 with me.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you again to Chris Gattelli for being here and sharing all those amazing memories and tidbits and behind the scenes footage with us. I know I feel so lucky. I'm sure you guys do too. And a big thank you to his partner Steven for his help with things as well. Thank you, Steven. Like I mentioned at the top, the episode 2 bonus dance breakdown is filmed. It's just finding some time between Schmicago episodes to edit it, but that'll be out soon, so make sure you're subscribed. Please, please, please do me a favor, and if you enjoyed this interview and found some value in it, hit that like button. It's right down there, really easy to do, and it lets me know that you guys want more of these videos. And I know if I can show Chris that there's enough interest, I'm sure he'll do an episode by episode breakdown of all of season 1 of Schmigadoon. There are so many deep cuts in season 1, you guys won't believe it, trust me. So it's in your hands, fellow Schmiga nerds. If you want to get some season 1 Chris Gattelli breakdowns, leave a like. Be sure to comment and let me know your favorite Easter egg from this episode that was revealed. And also, let me know if you think I should do future breakdowns with Chris in person instead of over Zoom. I'd love to hear what you guys think about that. Like I said, make sure you're subscribed for all the Schmigadoon content you could possibly want. Follow me on the socials at bwayghostlight. And as always, thank you to my Patreon patrons. A special big thank you to my amazing producers level patrons. You guys and I will never be kaput. But until next time, I'm Mark Benani. This is Broadway by Ghostlight. Thanks for watching.